You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Sports studios in Los Angeles. Here's Steve DeSager.
2 games in the NBA Cup quarterfinals. Milwaukee beat Orlando 114-109. Giannis Antetokounmpo with 37 points. Then at Oklahoma City, the Thunder eliminated Dallas 118-104. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 39 points. The 2 other quarterfinals are on Wednesday. Kawhi Leonard practiced with the Clippers for the first time this season after knee inflammation. 2 games in men's college basketball at Madison Square Garden. Number 1 Tennessee stayed undefeated, beating Miami 75-62. Then Arkansas came back to upset number 14 Michigan 89-87. Illinois down number 20 ranked Wisconsin 86-80. In an NHL late game, Minnesota won in a shootout at Utah. Earlier, Toronto came back for an overtime victory at New Jersey. Winnipeg beat Boston 8-1. The New York Yankees agreed to an 8-year deal with left-handed pitcher Max Fried from the Braves.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. On this Wild Card Wednesday, we are powered by Box Eye Care. Today, we'll be talking about bowl opt-outs, guys who might decide to not play in Alabama's bowl game against Michigan, the transfer portal, the boring staff, grades, outlook, off-season, moves, potentially the state of college football, Bama hoops, and more.
All right. Welcome in. I am Martin Houston. That is Xavier Houston. We got Chase Brumfield pressing all the right buttons. We're going to have a special guest with us here in just a moment. But just so you understand what those topics are, of course, bowl opt-outs kind of gives you what you're going to talk about. But transfer portal is a two-way street. Who's in, who's out. Look at who's in, who's out. The board and staff grades, outlook all season. Does that mean that are we satisfied? Maybe for year one. But does that mean that there's going to be opportunity for some upgrades? We'll talk about it. And, of course, we're going to give a grade as of this moment. Then we'll give grades probably multiple times throughout this offseason as this continues to roll out in the state of college football. How are you feeling about college football? Is it in a good position? And these are all topics that we'll talk about this week, all throughout the week, et cetera. And then, of course, Bama Hoops hits the court again. They hit the court again. And it's been a while. But they're taking on Creighton. And, of course, Creighton took down Kansas in a pretty decisive win. That, along with the Missouri win, caused Kansas to fall. I think it was the biggest drop for a number one ever or potentially ever, but definitely in a long time, as they fell completely out of the top 9 to number 10, right? Almost out of the top 10 in 1 week. So and that's the team that we'll be playing this Saturday. So we'll talk about that as well. All right, remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. And for those of you who are just now joining us, this is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. But we got a special guest that's joining us this morning. And I know him, he's Courtney White, but to me and in my phone and everywhere, it's Coach Courtney White. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Doing well. How are y'all this morning?
Doing well. Good. Courtney White is the owner of North River Timber Company, LLC. They do timber harvesting, appraisal, land management, and a whole lot more. And we're going to let him tell you a little bit about that. But as the sports gods would have it, before we get into his business acts, Coach White has some vested interest in some local Tuscaloosa news that is hopefully going to be the foundation for the return of one of the better programs that's been on the downswing for way too long for us, this local of Tuscaloosa. Coach White, tell us a little bit about the decision over at County High to name Coach Niedermeyer as the new head coach at the Tuscaloosa County Wildcats.
Yes, sir. Coach Niedermeyer was announced last night. Board approved. He'll be our 26th head coach at Tuscaloosa County. So we're excited. We've got to get this ship headed in the right direction, and we certainly have a lot of faith and hope in Coach Niedermeyer that he can get us going in the right direction. We've had a lot of turnover, really, I guess, in the last decade. So we're excited and look forward to what Coach brings to the table.
Yeah, you just mentioned that word, TO, turnover. It hurts you in football on the field, but it hurts you in the building the program even more. I think you and I had spoke, Coach, and I cannot remember the number, but it was pretty amazing since since Coach Lee Gibson left, how many coaches you've had in their average stint has not given this program a chance, even though they are in a tough division. It wouldn't matter with the turnover.
No, we've I think we're on our sixth coach in maybe like 11, 12-year span. So you can tell that there's no consistency, and so you've got to, it takes a little while to get a coach in with a staff and get him used to what he wants to do, get the kids used to what he wants to do, and we have not had that consistency. And so when you have a lot of turnover like that, it's tough to build. And so it's been a constant rebuilding process, and I'm excited for Niedermeyer. He's got a great resume, has a lot of experience. Really, I mean, not just in high school, but especially in college. Brings a lot of experience.
Tell us a little bit about why you all feel so good about this coach, and the people should be really excited and should get on board and support him based on not waiting on him to prove it, but getting on board so that they can help him prove that this program can turn around.
Yeah, well, I say this, with a smile on my face or tongue in cheek, but a lot of the coaches that have come to Tuscaloosa County in the last decade, from afar, they look at as the 7A program. It's the SEC West of high school football in West Alabama. I want to get there. I want to get to Tuscaloosa County and turn this thing around. And when they get here, it's not really what they expect. They kind of get here sometimes and it's an uh-oh factor. Well, Brian, Coach Niedermeyer, has been here for a year. He already knows what's here athletically. He knows what's here money-wise. And so he wants the job. And so I think in our mind that speaks a little bit about him, the fact that he's already been here. He's invested in these kids already with, being a defensive coordinator for the last year. So we're excited because he's excited. He wants to be here. The kids wanted him here. Nobody I've talked to around the program, kid-wise, was not excited with the rumor that he could possibly get the job. So we feel like that right there is a step forward in the right direction. Brian knows people all over the country. So what he brings to County High now not only is experience as a coach, but who he knows around the country. So kids that come and play with us, if they want and desire to play at the next level, Coach Niedermeyer's phone is slam full with college coaches' contact information. So as far as being a resource to get a child to the next level of coming out of high school to play college, I don't think there's anybody any better right now.
Yeah, and we definitely know that there's connections to Bama and other SEC schools and things. So not only does it help the kids, but it also helps him in terms of just having those mentors. And so we're excited for you guys. Xavier, do you have anything before we get Coach to tell us a little bit more about North River Timber Company?
Yeah, Coach, for those that don't know, I played football at County High back up under Coach Higginbotham when Coach Gibson was the offensive line coach. And I know that standard that was there when we were there. 3 region championships in my 4 years of high school, 3 undefeated regular seasons. Just never were able to get over the hump to get to the state championship game. But I know how much the football program can mean to that school. And just hearing y'all's excitement is something that I love hearing from the coaching staff. What is it that you expect to see with Coach Niedermeyer's leadership in taking over the program?
Well, I met with Coach last night, and I think his mindset is building that foundation, from the ground up. So a lot of the things that he's going to bring to the program, a lot of things that he's going to implement are really going to be plain and simple stuff. So, a lot of our problems over the last few years has been fundamentals. And so when I talked to him last night, one of the things that he's really going to start with is fundamentals of blocking, fundamentals of tackling, trying to get these kids in the right place at the right time, knowledge wise, try to expand their football IQ. And then the other thing also that it starts is it starts in the weight room. And so he's going to bring in a strength and conditioning program that's probably going to be different than what we've had and what we're used to. And so those two things right there are going to be good stepping stones for going in the right direction.
Absolutely, Coach. And that's you hit fundamentals on the football field, strength and speed off the field that translates onto the field. But everybody just wants big plays and all that stuff, but it starts with setting a great foundation. And speaking of setting that great foundation, Coach White and I go way, way back to when my youngest was playing baseball. We coached against each other in Little League Dixie Youth Baseball. So go way back. But Coach, you have a business that goes way back between you and Chase. You guys have 20 plus years experience in timber land. And I get on here and I say, hey, timber harvesting, appraisal, land management. And people know that at the surface, but tell us a little bit more about what North River Timber Company brings to the table and why people in West Alabama and East Mississippi need to give you guys a call.
Yes, thanks. North River Timber's been around since 2011. I am a registered forester with the state of Alabama. Chase Pearson that works with us is also a registered forester with the state of Alabama and with the state of Mississippi. And so what we do is basically all things that are forestry. We have logging company, we have logging crews scattered all over West Alabama, and so we're as far north at times, up in Marion County, up around Haleyville, and we're as far south as Marengo at times, below Demopolis. We have been recently, over the last few months, we have been working on a job that's over in East Mississippi on the other side of Meridian. So we're pretty scattered out, but we run four different logging crews, timber harvesting crews. We do a lot of timber appraisals. We try to give a landowner an idea of what they have, what it's worth. The best way to describe from a timber appraisal standpoint is kind of like the stock market. So we're called in to do a timber appraisal for somebody and give them an idea of what their timber's worth. But it's market driven. So their timber may appraise today for X, and then this time next year it may appraise for Y. And so the difference in that is obviously the economy, the market, but yet we're able to give somebody the idea of what they have, what its value is, what it's worth, and then going forward, they may not choose to harvest any timber, but they can pick up the phone and call me 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road, and say, Courtney, you did an appraisal for us years ago. Where's the market at today? Well, we can go back and look at the appraisal and adjust the market numbers to that to give them an idea. So we do a lot of appraisals. We also do reforestation. We're fixing to start our tree planting for the winter. We've got 2 reforestation crews that will be here actually tomorrow, and we're going to get started Friday and doing some reforestation. We're a little over 3,000 acres right now, set to plant in pine trees for the winter. So we're all things forestry, from planting a tree in the ground to harvesting it, everything in between.
Yeah, and I want to point out from personal experience, when I got ready to buy some land, I couldn't find anybody. It took me longer to find an appraiser than it did to actually close my loan, because there's not a lot of people out there that want to, unless you're in like Tuscaloosa Metro. When you start getting out into these outskirts communities, and a lot of people in Tuscaloosa are headed that way when they're buying land, you want to have an appraiser, but you don't just want any jackleg doing it. You want somebody who's qualified, Courtney. So tell them where they can find you guys, because like I'm telling you, you want someone that will, first of all, go do it wherever you need it done, but also you need somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. Yes, my cell phone is 205-242-5127. Chase Pearson is 205-799-0665. Our email address is northrivertimberco@gmail.com. And give us a call. Like I said, a lot of folks don't realize what they have, and so give us a call. Allow us to come to your property and look at your timber and just give you an idea of what you have. I think last time, Martin, you and I talked, we were discussing that sometimes people don't realize what they have, and so you've got people that are trying to pay for college educations, or people that are trying to pay for maybe a child that's trying to pay for a wedding. And so they're making a comment that, they may end up having to go to the bank, borrow money to put somebody through college. Well, they may be sitting on the money, timber wise. They may be sitting on that amount of money that would help put a child through college. So, just give us a call and allow us to let everyone know what they have.
Yeah, that's Courtney White. And like I say each and every day, Courtney White reminds us that having land and timber is like having money in the bank. That's North River Timber Company, LLC, timber harvesting, appraisals, and land management. North River Timber CO at gmail.com. Courtney White, 205-242-5127, or Chase Pearson, 205-799-0665. And both of these guys are registered foresters in the state of Alabama, Chase in Mississippi. So any of West Alabama into East Mississippi, north and south of Tuscaloosa, they're the crew and the company you need to call. And thank you so much for also giving us an update on County High, and tell Coach Niedermeyer he's welcome and he has a place on the show if he ever wants to come on and talk about his program.
Thank you, Martin. I appreciate that, and I will let Coach know that. I appreciate y'all having me on this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, once again, that's Courtney White with North River Timber Company. And I'm going to try to do that. Not all of my sponsors will want to come on the air, and not all of them will have sports conversations. That just worked out X, that literally they announced last night he's part of the committee that was making the search committee. So perfect timing for that. Hey, we'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling. I appreciate you all supporting those who support us and keep us on the airwaves. And that's one of the best right there. Courtney White, North River Timber Company, LLC. We'll be back on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Hello, and a very happy hump day Wednesday morning to you. Getting off to a pretty quiet start on those Tuscaloosa freeways and side streets. Not seeing any severe delays on Skyland Boulevard. It's pretty much moving at your typical in between 2059 and 359. I do say we are slowing down just a...
There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go.
0958.
Fair pricing is what we do. Taylor Electric, we are here for you.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They've moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com, or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342.
If it makes sense for your business.
Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free demo of the Townsquare Business Management Platform. Visit townsquarelocal.com. That's townsquarelocal.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather breezy and colder today, becoming partly to mostly sunny, the high 49. Mostly clear tonight, a freeze likely, the low 29. Tomorrow and Friday, lots of sunshine both days. The high tomorrow 51, the high Friday 56. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 40 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, hump day edition, wild card edition of the show. Once again, we want to thank North River Timber Company, LLC, for joining in. Also, failed to thank him on the air directly. for his support of Harvest Church and our annual Christmas festival. Love to see good companies giving back to do good in the community. So thank you, Courtney, to you and your entire team and crews that are out there helping others and directly using that to also help those who are in need. All right. I got a little audio X to set up the next conversation. So let's see if we can hear that audio here, and then we're gonna respond. And I'm just telling you, it's about the transfer portal.
Looking back at it though, don't you think you did too much though?
Yes, I did. I did too much. And
so no. Explain to me, like, because like I want you parents to understand, like we all are dads,
yes,
man,
sir.
and we all do too much at times.
Yes.
Because I look back at when my son was 8, and I'm like, man, I was doing too much on the sideline. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like, explain to me, what do you mean by that? Because I want these other dads to understand, like, we have to be on our sons, but what's too much?
Javon never wanted to leave Alabama. Javon never wanted to leave Alabama. Okay, I made that decision because, again, Mr. Baker and him being so arrogant that how dare you not play my son? How dare you not play my son against University of Georgia? Okay, and because of that arrogance, me and Coach Saban clashed.
We clashed with the GOAT.
All right. We want to thank Tatum Talk Show for that clip posted by Elite. We got it via Elite Talent Football, but that clip is out there on the X. I need to get the rest of that show, X, and hear the rest of that clip. But for those of you who didn't fully pick up what that was Javon Baker's dad saying, my son never wanted to leave Alabama. So for every player that I have dogged, I heard directly about some, but X, I'm going to just do a blanket apology this morning for every kid that's been in the portal, that's left Alabama. As a former player, I'm sorry. Now, if you left on your own because you were greedy or you were moaning and complaining, then that apology really doesn't hit you. But for those of you who left because you had a dad like that, that's now coming out saying, I was wrong, I was arrogant, not my son, that I clashed with the coach. This is what people have not thought about with the portal, X. If there was no free rides in the portal, this clash doesn't happen with Coach Saban, and Baker may not be here. So understand, we owe an apology. If you just missed that, Javon Baker's dad said because he did not play against Georgia, him and Coach Saban got into a clash, and then he made his son leave Alabama. Woo! Now, we've heard that about Caleb Downs. Caleb left for money, supposedly, but not because Caleb wanted to leave. Caleb kind of softened that blow in the Ohio State game this year, X, but when they were getting ready to play the big game against Indiana and said that it was because Coach Saban left, et cetera. But we know for a fact now that there are players who have left because of Daddy. Respond, and we'll get the break and get back on track and let our audience get their thoughts in.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa and Nissan traffic.
100% that sometimes it's not just the player. We've heard the Caleb Down rumor, and I think Coach Saban leaving for him did play a part of it. But I think he also was a kid that wanted to play for Alabama, so there's that. But I'm not surprised at this. But the fact that Mr. Baker was able to come out and own that and take accountability for that, that's something I can appreciate. And I'm sure he's had conversations with Javon where he's apologized for that. Because Javon's last 2 years in college, he balled out, and I think he could have done that here. I think he would have been in position to be a guy on the field in 2022 and 2023 for Alabama. Because you got to think, his freshman, sophomore years, these are the guys he was behind. Devontae Smith, John Mechie, Jalen Waddle, Jameson Williams. He just had to wait his turn, and his dad got impatient on that. So, but it's a life lesson learned, and, it helps me know having a son that is young not to overstep bounds and make sure that I let him, especially at a certain age, make decisions for himself.
Yeah, and here's the crazy part, X, as we get to break here. Now, Jalen Milroe is not the elite passer that Mac Jones, Bryce, or Tua were. I'm not even going to put him in that passing category. But how much better would he have been last year and this year if he had the likes of Javon Baker and Bond and what's the kid
Holden.
Holden? I mean, he literally, all of the guys who would have been the upperclassmen this year were playing for somebody else, and all of them ended up being like the number 1 or number 2 receiver at the school they went to.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have those guys. And that's what I try to tell people. I said, if I was telling someone the other day with Jalen, I said, Jalen Milroe is not the elite passer that the last 3 quarterbacks were. But quarterbacks aren't just passers anymore. If he had the receivers, if he had Smitty and Mechie and Judy and Ruggs and, goodness gracious, the quarterback, the receiving goes, the passing goes up just because of who you have. And we're going to talk about that right now. Alabama's losing some guys, X, in the portal. Coming back on the other side, I want us to talk about those guys that are leaving, which also means I'm assuming that they're going to opt out of the bowl game. But some guys go in the portal and still play. So we'll talk about that on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Hello, and a very happy hump day Wednesday morning to you. Getting off to a pretty quiet start on those Tuscaloosa freeways and side streets. Not seeing any severe delays on Skyland Boulevard. It's pretty much moving at your typical in between 2059 and 359. I do say we are slowing down just a
back, I think. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Dixie Battery Supply takes care of all of your battery needs. Find the commercial batteries you're after and never feel powerless again. Come check out our Northport and Tuscaloosa locations or call us at 205-758-9190. And once again, power up all your devices by using Dixie Battery Supply, DixieBatterySupply.com. They offer
for his clients. Remember M for money and Mesrano.
If it has a logo on it, call me. 205-800-8000.
Houston Hydrosteam. That's Houston Hydrosteam. Quality work you can stand on. Whether you're looking for carpet and upholstery cleaning, oriental rug cleaning, residential or commercial water damage, and a whole lot more, you need to call Houston Hydrosteam at 205-553-9460, 553-9460, or visit them online at HoustonHydrosteam.com. And once again, Houston Hydrosteam is quality work you can stand on.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. X, it's interesting. We had a conversation that popped up on the other side about, like, I feel like guys in the portal should play those games and those going to the draft shouldn't play. I was responding to that. It's interesting to me. This is what I find interesting. People sometimes act like, well, the guy shouldn't play in the bowl game because it doesn't mean anything. When did bowl games mean anything before, other than you playing for your team and pride? Unless there are fewer bowl games now. I mean, fewer bowl games. Well, there's a lot more bowl games now. I'm sorry. When I was playing, the only bowl game that meant something was the bowl that had the number one team in it, and possibly the bowl that had the number two team in it if they didn't play number one. Okay? I was on the freshman team X when Alabama played Army in 1988. Some of the guys who had stat lines were John Mangum, Keith McCann, Kermit Kendrick, Lee Osmond, Bobby Humphrey.
Derek Thomas.
Derek Thomas. Gene, guys that were getting ready to be first-round draft picks. And we have guys that are going to be fourth and fifth-round draft picks not playing in bowl games, opting out of bowl games. And so I tell people all the time, everybody, they might get hurt. Well, they might get hurt at the beginning of the season. Why would
guys get hurt training for you should nobody should participate in the combine. Nobody should participate in pro day. Nobody should participate in the Senior Bowl, East West Shrine Bowl game, because these are all opportunities that you could get hurt. You should stop. You should play your final game, and some guys shouldn't even play their junior or senior year.
Right. That's what I
mean. Where's the line? Nobody opted out of bowl games until all of a sudden, I think Jadeveon Clowney was the first one to do it back in his last year. And now all of a sudden, we as fans have just accepted the fact that this should be normal. This isn't normal. To me, you go out and compete. You go out and play with your guys. Man, I absolutely love Bryce Young and Will Anderson for playing in that Sugar Bowl 2 years ago. Because those boys didn't have to. They were the number 1 and number 3 picks, regardless of if they played that game or not. But them boys went out and put on that crimson and white one more time for not just themselves, but their teammates, the school, the entire fan base. I love them boys for that.
Yeah, those young men, let's give them some respect. Young men. I know what you meant, but call them young men. And here's the here's the beauty of it. If you're not going to play the last game, when should Travis Hunter have stopped playing?
When should have Shadur stopped playing? When should Ashton Jeanty have stopped playing?
That's my point. Is once they lost the game where they were not playing for a championship, they could have just stopped playing. But anyway, it's become
back to the point. Bryson Will should have stopped after the LSU game 2 years ago.
And I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. I get it. I don't like it. And some people may say, well, Martin, what would you do or what would you advise your son? I may advise him not to play, right? I might do that. I'm just making a point of my point behind that is the reason people use it is that they might get hurt. Well, that's always been the case. And people say, well, the bowl games don't mean anything. Other than playing for what little ring you got or whatever bowl gifts you got, which is significantly less. When we got it, there was a limit on what we could get, and it was only a few $100s. These guys were getting PlayStations, which was more than our total combined gift, along with a bunch of other stuff years ago. So that's my point is I get it. I might advise my child if he was a first-round draft pick, second round, maybe, whatever. But all these other kids is opting out. It's a chance for you to put more stats on there and to step up, and you don't. And to worry about getting hurt, that's one of the reasons that they use. And the bowls not mean anything. Both of those have always been there. Neither one of those are new. When we played against Miami, every other single bowl game was meaningless. As far as playing for a championship. But
the excuse that they use today, every other bowl game was meaningless.
Right. And Nick Saban called it. And there's been a lot of things that people have said it's going to ruin or minimize. Nick Saban was the only one. He said, when you go to this championship format, it's going to minimize the bowls. And he was right on that.
Nick Saban been right with just about everything he's called out about the new system of transfer portal, bowl game. I mean, the man hadn't been wrong yet, and every time he said something, folks looked at him and said, "Oh, you're just crying because you don't want to lose power." And now everybody else is crying about what he said was going to happen.
Well, is everybody else crying, X? Is everybody else?
In the sense of the fan base.
Chase, is
Yes,
everyone
sir.
else crying about the state of college football or just Alabama? Because
I think it goes all the way around. I think college football right now is just, it's weird.
It really is weird because, X, I know what you mean. There's a lot of complaining going on, but the reality of it is there's about 3 or 4 teams like Boise State loves to do college football. Indiana loves to do college football. SMU loves to do college football. Clemson even loves to do college football.
Real quick about that, about Indiana. Have you heard some of the things Cignetti has been saying? That he is cocky.
What did he? No, I haven't.
He's cocky, borderline arrogant. And I get it to a certain degree. No, he came out and said, he goes, he was talking about their schedule and all this stuff. And he was talking about we lost on the road to the number. He was talking about where each team was ranked and whenever they lost. He goes, and you're telling me we don't have a home game in the playoffs? And I'm looking at him going, the only time you played somebody, you got your butts handed to you. You shouldn't forget Alabama. You shouldn't be in the playoff because it was just so like, well, we lost to this team and we lead the nation in point differential and this. We should have a home game, and I'm like, y'all ain't playing nobody.
Remember, he coaches for Indiana. That's what he's supposed.
I get it. I get it. But if they get the doors blown off again, folks gonna be replaying that nonstop.
That's what it's gonna be interesting to see if Nick Saban is right about strength of schedule. If SMU, Indiana, and Boise have good games, close games. We saw what happened with the playoff committee because SMU played close. If those 3 teams play close, strength of schedule and all of that is out the window. If we have a repeat of TCU by at least 2 of those schools, and all 3 for sure, you'll see the next committee moving forward, they'll go back to that metric. Because the TCU thing was an absolute shame of what they did to college football. And here you have at least 3 opportunities, maybe more for that to happen. You could even have it happen with the likes of Arizona getting in as a conference champion and Clemson getting in as a conference champion. So there's 5 potential schools and games that could really get crazy. Hey, listen, if you're out there listening to our show this morning, you may have whiplash because this has truly been a wild card Wednesday, but we'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling. You're always welcome to get in on it on the Empowerment Strategy and Solutions hotline at 205-342-9904. Coming back on the other side, we'll keep the conversation going as we close out this edition with the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the week.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, status quo for the Tuscaloosa freeways and side streets. We're pretty much looking at the norm traveling on Skyland Boulevard in both directions between McFarland and 359. Yeah, you're tapping on those brakes a little, but not a lot. And then as you move on Lurleen
Solutions, project and warehouse management, ARC flash studies, and more. Visit CED in Tuscaloosa, Coleman, and Decatur, and All Phase Electric Supply in Albertville and Huntsville.
Visit the pharmacy at Midtown. That's the pharmacy at midtown.com. TJ and his team are looking for the opportunity to provide you with great services, including compounding, home delivery, and a whole lot more. You're looking for a great pharmacy that'll take care of all of your needs, including wellness classes, including health, and more. That's the pharmacy at Midtown. Call them at
100.9 will award $500 for the best Christmas light display in West Alabama. To enter, upload your photos to Tide109.com. Merry Christmas from your friends at Taco Casa and Tide 100.9.
The Venue, your new favorite Tuscaloosa hangout, food, music, and more. Come and taste what's new at The Venue, whether it's Liza's Sweet Shop, whether it's the all-day breakfast and burgers from Ramajama's, or the quality food that you can get at Finish Pub. Great atmosphere, great time, great people, great environment. That's The Venue. You can find them online at
Right now, and check your eligibility for GLP-1 medication with copays as low as $0 at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. It's now time for the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director, Blueprint Ministries. It's time for him to help us take our game to the next level and incorporate our faith into the boardroom, the classroom, or our chosen field of play. Good morning, Scotty. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, Martin. I'm doing well. Always a pleasure to join you on Wednesday mornings. And so I'll jump right into our series. We'll continue with fundamentals that build a firm foundation. And we've looked at the fundamental of spending time in God's Word, the fundamental of fellowship, being around people who are like-minded and just who can encourage you and challenge you and push you push and pull you in the same direction as you seek to accomplish all that God's called you to accomplish. But now looking at the fundamental of prayer, that this fundamental builds a firm foundation. We looked at Philippians 4, 6, and 7 as we looked at Paul speaking from jail. He's in prison, and he says, don't worry about anything, pray about everything. So if anybody can give us some advice about not worrying, I think his circumstance gives him some credibility that while he's in jail, he says, don't worry about anything, pray about everything. He talked about just basically his knee jerk, normally probably being worried, but he's allowing and causing his knee jerk to be as often as he worries, he prays. And then we looked at, how do we pray? And we looked at kind of a blueprint for prayer, not the only blueprint for prayer. Last week we looked at the acrostic CATS. The C was for confession. The A is for adoration, spending time just praising God. The T is for thanksgiving, and the S is for supplication. Supplication is just simply a big word that means to ask for your needs. And so we looked at how to pray. Now, this morning, briefly, in these next couple minutes, I want to look at, when do we pray? Because I think if we're going to have consistency in this area of prayer, if it's going to be a fundamental, a habit that we, practice consistently, and that's the only way it can really build a firm foundation is if we practice these things consistently. Then the question is, when do we pray? And so Mark 1:35 gives us some instructions on that. We find Jesus in this passage. And I think if you're going to learn about prayer, Paul's a great person to learn about prayer from, but Jesus is always going to be the best place to learn anything from. So here's what we see. Mark 1:35, it says, one quick verse. Early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus went to a solitary place where he prayed. Very simple. Early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus went to a solitary place where he prayed. I know everybody's thinking, hold up, Scotty. He's saying, I got to wake up early in the morning before daylight. And so let me say this. I don't think the specific time Jesus woke up early in the morning while it was still dark. And there was a specific reason. I'll share that here in a second. But it doesn't matter the specific time. What does matter is that you have a time. Have a time. Let prayer be important enough to make it on your schedule. That's all I'm saying. And I think that's the example that Jesus is giving us. It says early in the morning while it was still dark, Jesus went to a solitary place where he prayed. So let's look at this. Early in the morning while it was still dark, he had a specific time. He went to a solitary place, Martin. He had a specific place. And it says where he prayed. Prayer was such a priority for him that the time was important. Whatever your time is, find a time, say, okay, prayer is so important, I'm going to have a time. But he also knew that if he didn't find a specific place, a solitary place, then there would be distractions and maybe it would interrupt his prayer time. So he had a specific place and he had a specific plan. That's where he prayed. And so I'll stop there, but I want to encourage you as we look at this this fundamental that builds a firm foundation. I want you to understand you got to have a specific time, a specific place, and a specific plan. Martin?
Yeah, that's so good. Think about communication, and that's what prayer is all about. You have a specific time that you meet with your team, with your organization, whatever. And one of the things that helped me when I used to struggle was you pretty much give Jesus an appointment in your calendar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so there's an appointment time that you don't mess up. You don't put anything in that time. And so that's mornings, at night, at lunch, whatever. You just have that appointment. It's an appointment, not a hope to. Tell them where they can find you, sir.
Absolutely. You can go to www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. Send me a message there. It comes straight to my email.
All right. Hey, that's Scotty Hollins, Executive Director, Blueprint Ministries. Hook up with him. Have him in, talk to you, your organization, and incorporate faith into your boardroom, classroom, where you're a chosen field to play. That was Xavier Houston earlier. I'm Martin Houston. That's Chase Brumfield. We'll be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, right here on all of the radio network, whether it's Facebook, live stream, or on the radio airwaves. Listen, Lord, always, you don't understand, all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide, everybody.